thinking with smart. And I love it. If you can think it, you can ink it. So we're going to kind of go back to old school kind of fit today, because there's so many things that we do with technology. We're going to kind of take a step back and see what the whiteboarding experience can look like for our students in our classroom. So I'm Jody Bean, and I am a professional development specialist for smart technologies. And I've been in education for over 30 years, a really long time. I've seen the ebbs and flows of being in education, and this is just something that is just really important to me about how do you bring technology into the classroom where it's transparent. And so as we're going through our journey today, feel free to tweet with me. My handle is at Jody B. Schmitz. That's my superhero name, so that's what we have. And then our team has at Smart PLN, which is also a wonderful place to get resources, ready-made content that you could take into your classroom today. And then if you would also like, we have hashtag Smart Champion. Take a look at what educators are doing all over the globe in their classroom with smart. So glad you're here. Glad you're joining us this afternoon. And so let us just kind of think about what we're going to do with our time together right now. So as Kim was mentioning, we are going to be looking at how smart solutions can be leveraged in the classroom. We have so many fabulous tools that we can use with our students. And what we want to do is figure out what's that right tool when it comes to whiteboarding. What does that look like? Because I'm going to show you a couple of them, and depending on what your student outcome is, that's where we want to go and live, right? So I'm going to share with you a couple different ways of whiteboarding, and then talk to you about, some ways, pedagogical ways that you can bring them into your classroom. But one of the things that I think is really valuable is, we have that whiteboard. And in the world's past, we used to just have a whiteboard on the wall. And then when it ran out of room, we would, erase it. And then, we'd start something new. Well, now we have the digital whiteboard, and that is really great. But again, we have that space and we can do whatever we want with it. But what if I told you we could take those whiteboard spaces and we can now share them with our students on their devices? And I really want to share that with you guys today too, and show you the power and the potential of what that whiteboarding experience can look like now with that opportunity. So here we go. First of all, I got to give you a little bit of background. I'm sure a lot of you who've been in the classroom or maybe out today, today is Talk Like a Pirate Day, and September 19th. And not only is it the Talk Like a Pirate Day, but it also is Teach Like a Pirate Day. And for those of you who might be familiar with the book Teach Like a Pirate by Dave Burgess, he has written a book that has been really transformational in the educational world. And so we are celebrating Teach Like a Pirate. And so just pay attention, because even our monsters are getting into the theme of pirates. So we have those. But I want to point out this picture right here. I live at the end of the Oregon Trail in Oregon. And we have pirates. Literally, we have pirates that live amongst us. And what's really fun is that when people find the pirates and they're hanging out in town, we want to take snapshots of them. And so this is one time, I've only seen the pirates one time in my hometown, and I got very excited and I took a snapshot. So legit pirates right here. So we have the pirates. And so we're going to kind of take the preface of what Teach Like a Pirate is, and we're going to use that to kind of do our activities today together. And I'm going to have some interaction that I'm going to be asking some help from you. But what I love about this is that it's not about what the teachers cover. It's about what students discover. And that's really the mindset I would like for each of us to have, is what can we do with the whiteboard experience where our students are discovering and exploring their learning. So let's do that. First of all, how does this make you feel when you see this, right? Like this big blank page. Most teachers would go, there needs to be something on here. But I want to point out that this is a blank page and it has a lot of power behind it. And first of all, what I see here is I see an empty page. I see that it's ready for that next big idea. I see an opportunity for students to construct meaning on their own. And I see that they can become creators of their own knowledge. So thinking about this, we don't have to put a lot of information on the whiteboard space. And right now I'm in Smart Notebook software, and I just added a new page, and this is the page I have. So thinking about what you could do with this blank page, I have an opportunity to talk to you about what PIRATE. Now, you know, as teachers, we all like acronyms. So of course, PIRATE stands for P-I-R-A-T-E. And if you're familiar with what it is, first of all, what Teach Like a Pirate talks about is how teachers are taking their learning and that they are twisting around their lessons so that students can find reasons to approach certain lessons. Because we know that there's like lessons that are, you know, not so engaging. And according to Teach Like a Pirate, there are things that we as teachers can do to bring that meaning and learning and showcase into our lessons and deliver that message to our students. And so P, it stands for passion. I just want to put these up on the board so you can see where we're going to be going with this activity. So I stands for immersion. R, you probably already know this, stands for that rapport that we need with our students. A is asking questions and also analyzing. And then T is bringing transformation into the classroom, not only into our classroom, but into our students' lives. And then the last one is that enthusiasm, okay? So as we think about teaching like a pirate, we all know, let's put an M on there, that we all have these attributes as a teacher. But sometimes our lessons get a little drab and we're like, okay, we have to follow this curriculum and it looks like this, but it's not really the way I want to teach it. And so I want to pose to you a question. This blank space with our students could be something really powerful. It could have a quote. It could have just an image. It could have a question, but just something very simple for our students to come up to the board or to come up and write up here. Now I'm doing this, you know, with myself up here, but in your classroom, you would want to have your students come up to the board. And so here's what I would like to ask you to do. I just lost my earbud. Is I would like you to draw, how do you draw your students into the new content and make it fun and engaging? And so I would love to hear from you. So you can either add it into the chat and Kim can say it, or if you want to unmute yourself, I can hear you. And think about like, how do you engage your students when you start a new content area? What do you do in your lesson to hook them in? And, you know, I had a teacher who, she was talking to me the other day, and she says, I love bringing in popular trends and talking about what's important for our students right now. So go ahead and let's do the old-fashioned shout it out, and I'm going to write them up on the board up here. So go ahead.
So you can type them in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself. I would say, what about a big idea question to kind of hook your learners into curiosity?
Okay. Any others?
Tell stories, open challenges, and a humorous video. Humorous YouTube.
Oh, I love that. Humor.
That was from Thomas.
Okay. Beautiful. Love that. Okay. I heard tell stories, real world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about bringing in the arts and images, like pictures, right? Arts.
Photography.
So here's the thing. Oh, I love photography. Oh my gosh. There's so many great websites that have beautiful photography that's on there that you could use in the classroom, art and images. Okay. Now we're going to use this activity in just a few minutes, and I know we have other really big ones. Is there any more? I can think of one more that I'm going to add. How about current events? Okay, so all of these we bring in as teachers. Sometimes we don't even pay attention to it, but that's really important for us to, you know, try to draw in and have that. In Teach Like a Pirate, Dave Burgess talks about the different types of hooks. And he has kinesthetic hooks, and he has opportunist hooks, and he has like Mozart hooks, so bring in music and song and rap and all those types of things that we do as teachers. And sometimes we forget. But thinking about this space up here, what if you had your students come up here and do all the writing? Because now they're constructing the meaning, and it's also going to trigger other ideas. But what I was saying earlier is that this is just a notebook. And I want to show you what it would look like in a couple other of our solutions. But before we do that, I want to show you how easy it is for us to take this blank space and continue with our discussion with our students and have that ability to just let go of all the transitions and actually create it with our students. So what I want to do right now is create a formative assessment that I'm going to have my students participate in when I send it up to Smart Learning Suite Online. And this is called the circle, square, triangle. And maybe you've heard it, but what I could do is I simply could have my students come up and create it themselves, or I get a free pen, or I can use the shape recognition pen, which I'm going to do in this case. So let's see if I can find this out. Okay. And so I'm going to do a circle, and it's going to snap into shape. I'm going to do a triangle. It's going to create a shape, and I'm going to do a square. Okay. I have a circle, a triangle, a square. So the circle right here is going to actually be a representation of questions that are circling around in my mind or in your student's mind. What are you still curious about? What do you still need some answers to? And so my students will be able to write in here some of the things that are still circling around in their mind that they might need a little more information. Maybe they need to dive deeper in. The triangle is going to be like, that's what I'm on target with. It's on point with me. I'm going to use the creative pen, and I'm going to use the stars, and I'm going to say, I want you to think of 3 things that really stuck out with you with the Teach Like a Pirate. Like, what are those opening that you would use to hook your students in that really speak to you, that's on point? So you would add 3 items there. And then the last one is square. What is square with you? What really matches your thinking? Like, that really jives with me. And so right here, I just quickly on a blank whiteboard space created a formative assessment with my students, had that explanation already ready for them. I lost no class time whatsoever. The learning is visible with them. They can see what is going to happen. And so now what I'm going to do is I would love to take this whole notebook file, because let's be clear, right now my notebook file is right here. It's living on my laptop, and I'm projecting it on my board. But really what I want to do is I want to send my whole file, my notebook file, out to my students, because I want them to own the knowledge. I want them to become the creators of it, right? So I'm going to share this to my Smart Learning Suite Online, and I'm going to go out to my account, which I have right here. It's already open. And as you can see right here in the thumbnail, I have my whole lesson here. And we're not going to get right into the deep dive of Smart Learning Suite Online, but what I want to do is encourage you to join the webinars that are going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks, because they're going to be fabulous, and they are going to be game changers about Smart Learning Suite Online. And it will be something that you'll want to have in your classroom. And so I just want to point out a couple things. So here's my file that I had in my Smart Notebook software that lived on my laptop. I just sent it out to my Smart Learning Suite Online, and everything is there that we've already gone over. But what's beautiful about it is that I can actually have my activity ready for me. And I'm going to actually go back, and I'm going to get this one. Let's see if that will go. And now what I can do is I can have my students create a space for me, and I can have that. Share that using a link. It's going to my Smart Learning Suite Online account. There we go. And here's my lesson. And if you notice, here is my circle, triangle, square, and then above that I have all of our ideas. Now, I want to take this a step further. Before it was just my students doing it at the board, but now what I want to do is I want to send this out as a handout. So this whiteboard space, which was blank at the beginning, we added a question, then our students added their content on here. Now what I want to do is I want to actually put this whiteboard space into a collaborative work group. And so what I can do here is I actually can make this space right here, I can actually change it into a workspace, which means all my students in my classroom are going to be into a independent or individual work collaborative space. So everybody will be sorted into a different group. And that's what I would do with this one. And then look what they can do. I can ask them to sort. I could ask them to add things together. I can have them kind of categorize the different ideas and then put them together. So think about this. If this was a video that the students were watching and then they had all these ideas, they could categorize the keywords and then use those keywords to summarize what that video was about. There's so many possibilities, and all I had to do as a teacher is I just had to pose that piece right here. Other than that, the students were creating all of that knowledge right here, and they are the ones that are going to categorize it and make meaning with it. So this would become a collaborative workspace. So the second one, which is this one right here, I want to see every student independently. I really want to know what they really know. And so on this one, where I want them to circle their ideas, what the questions do they still have? And then what are the three things that really are on point with me, that I really get, I understand, I can put them in my back pocket, I get it. Or what matches with what I already think? Like that aligns with how I already feel, how I think. That really speaks to me. I want this. Again, we started with a blank whiteboard space, and then we just added some shapes. I could have made these shapes with just regular pen, right, with the digital pen, but I used the shape recognition. I used a creative pen. And again, I can decide if I want to hand this out as a workspace in a collaborative group, or I could do an individual handout, which means I'm individually handing out a digital copy to each one of my students. And I want that. So I would click right there to handout. And that way, each of my students with their device will have their very own handout. And what's beautiful about it is that it will be siloed. In each of their digital handouts, they can write on it, and they can add and contribute images, and they can add text and also pen, and they can erase it. And the best thing about it is that they can turn it in when they're done back to me. So that is Smart Learning Suite Online. But I want to point out your functions that you have over here, your tools. All right. It's set up the same way, where I can have my students log in to hellosmart.com. And you're going to get into details next time on Smart Learning Suite Online on the webinar. But I wanted to show you one little really important button, and that's this plus sign right here. If you click on that plus sign, you have a choice to create a blank page while you're in Smart and Suite Online. If I do that, a brand new workspace happens right here. And now if I begin to write on it and we start talking about the pirates, and we talk about how they are in class, and then we are talking about what we should do in our lessons, all of this that I'm writing up on the board will actually translate live on my student devices. My students would be able to see what I'm doing on this workspace. And again, I could actually do that again, where I can either decide if I want them to contribute as a collective group, or if I want them to work independently on this activity to show their own thinking and their own ideas. I have so many different tools available for me in Smart Learning Suite Online. Okay, so that's Smart Learning Suite Online. So I've shared with you Smart Notebook, the workspace. I've shared with you the Smart Learning Suite Online, and Smart Solution has another one, which has to do with the hardware. So if you have a newer board like this, an interactive flat panel with the IQ experience, I'm going to actually flip over to that, and I want to show you some really positive things that you can do with this. The beautiful thing about having a newer device like this is that it gives the teachers and the students flexibility of the delivery and the learning, because there's so many great tools that are on here. So first of all, this is called the IQ module. And right here, we have what is called the new whiteboard. All I have to do is click on that. It's going to open up to a whiteboard space. It really is a whiteboard space. And down here, I have a choice of white, just a white background like what you see right here. I have paper template for grid. I have line papers. I have dot. And this seems to be everybody's favorite. And this is kind of like a chalkboard. And it's so cool when you use it in the classroom. So I'm going to go back over here right now. But this space right here is really valuable. In fact, there's hidden secrets in it. I'm going to share with you just a few of them so you have them. But again, take a look over here. You see? These look familiar, right? They look just like SLSO, Smart Learning Suite Online. So I'm going to point out a couple things. See that little plus sign right here? If I click on it, I can get a blank page. But I want to show you what you could do. So let's say I'm creating a word wall with every letter of pirate. And I want my students to contribute as we're looking through. And I want to put this one, this page is going to be all the P's, right? This is going to be a word wall. I can have that be my word wall. But if I add another page right here, notice on my thumbnail, I now can have multiple whiteboard spaces. Let's stop and think about that. Multiple whiteboard spaces, that's cool. Because when you're looking at this in your whiteboard space right here, this could be one way of thinking, right? Or maybe this is a group of students that's doing on here, on this page right here. And then the second page is another group of students up at the board working. And you can add more. And so I'm going to add another one. And I'm going to make this one, you got to see the chalkboard. This one is just so fun. You've got a wheel over here of colors. And I'm going to go ahead and pick one of my favorite colors. And I'm going to do the letter R. And I can make it thicker if I wanted to. Isn't that great? So we can have rapport. And students can come up here and write. Okay, so we have all of these different opportunities for whiteboarding. And two more things I'm going to blow your mind with. Number one, let's say we start our learning up here. We're talking about it. We're really going at it. We're brainstorming. We are just having a great time. And we don't want to have that transition stop. We want to continue with that learning. We have the opportunity on the IQ module experience to be able to send this out to our students. So on student devices, I can send this activity to my students, okay? And then after that, if I look at this, I also, check this out. I'm going to actually change it to another one. And right up here, all the letters, passion. Let's see, okay? Let's erase. Okay, we have that. Check this out. Right at the very bottom down here, if you look, this actually is an expanding screen. And I actually have like 9 whiteboard spaces put together like a tic-tac-toe board. And so my collaboration and my space has just got really big. And I think about all the learning that can take place on one of these whiteboard spaces. All right, so we have tons of different things that we can do with that whiteboard. All right, so I'm going to actually go back. I'm going to go back to my laptop. And I'm going to, let's talk about what we just did. We talked about the notebook whiteboard. We talked about the Smart Learning Suite whiteboard. And we talked about the IQ experience, which lives on the interactive flat panel. All right, so this is really fast, I know. Here's my challenge for you. You guys are going to be getting resources on how to work with the different whiteboard spaces that you have. But I want to give you a challenge for the next couple weeks because I feel like if you don't do it, you're not going to do it at all. So I want you to work with me here. All right, here's your challenge. I want you, if you have just a smart board, if you have Smart Notebook, that means you have Smart Learning Suite Online. So you can do these two. If you have the smart board with the IQ experience, then I want to challenge you to put that in there too. But here's what I want you to do in the next couple weeks. I want you to explore ways to include that power of a blank page, all right? And I want you to think about how to invite your students to contribute to the whiteboard space and let them create the knowledge and have them have that. And I want you to try to do it where the students are doing it at least once a day. All right, that's doable. Okay, just try it. And then the other thing I want to challenge you is try using a combination of a whiteboard space. Maybe you start on the IQ experience and then you go into Smart Notebook. Or do what I did and start with Smart Notebook with a blank page, have your lesson in there, send it to Smart Learning Suite Online, and let your students collaborate or have a handout. So you have a lot of different options there, but I want to challenge you to try the different ones that are at your disposal. But if you want to learn more, we have some really fabulous webinars still coming up, and you can still register. There'll be a link for you to register if you haven't. But I really, really would love for people to come to the Smart Learning Suite Online and also the Stop, Collaborate, and Learn Flexible Grouping with Smart, because those are going to be showing you and showcasing different things that you can do in Smart Learning Suite Online. Other than that,
and one more thing to add, Jody, is that even if you had colleagues that weren't able to attend today, this recording will be shared out, and it's also going to be on our Educator to Educator YouTube channel, so that you will be able to share this with other people. So bring your team along with you on the challenges as well.